Please join me today for a few tips for curating your own ritual, healing, magical apothecary. My name is Kayla Alyssa, and I am the Wayward Witch. I wanted to take a few minutes to say how grateful I am that so many of you have chosen to journey with me. The type of content is going to shift from recipes to more towards my personal practice, philosophies, and ritual workings, so I'm hoping that some of you will still stick around. That said, I also want to apologize. I know it's been a month or two, but I've been really busy with something really special that actually started back in December of last year, and I'll tell you more about that at the end of the video. So let's dive right into it. The first tip that I'd like to offer is going to seem simple, but it's with a twist. It's research before you buy. Regardless of intention, be it magical, healing, or like me, a combination of both, I strongly advise that you research the medical properties of botanicals first. Then, if you're so inclined, I have another tip on how to work with magical correspondences. Whether you're planning on only using the herbs to create an incense, a magical incense, salve, tea, ritual bath, anointing oil, etc., your body is still absorbing the chemicals contained within the botanicals. What I recommend is searching reputable sites for the materia medica of the herbs you plan to work with. The materia medica should include the herbal actions and contraindicators. The actions help you understand how the botanical will interact with your internal system, and the contraindicators will help you determine any side effects that it may have with other herbs or allopathic prescription medications that you might be taking. Any herb's chemical actions do not automatically turn off just because you intend to use them magically. Tip number 2. Order in small quantities at first and work with them one-on-one for at least a week. Now, I know it is every witch's dream to have that abundant, full, stocked apothecary with shelves lined with mason jars. I remember walking into our local metaphysical stores before online shopping was a thing and drooling over the wall of botanicals. When I started doing my Ayurvedic training, I had to start building my apothecary to complete my training and case studies. So I jumped on Mountain Rose Herbs and ordered all of the recommended items for my course, but also some for magical formulations that I wanted to try. And I ordered the big bags. I thought, finally, this is the time. I can start. Once they arrived, I wanted to test some of the magical teas for a formulation first because I do suffer from insomnia. It's a Pitta mindset thing. And the one staple ingredient in almost every witchy or herbal formulation for sleep is chamomile. So I mixed my tea, sat in ritual, and drank, and after a few nights, I realized I was having a reaction. It turns out I was allergic to one of the items. So I broke it down, and this is when I developed my method of working with new botanicals. And I've been working with this process for just about 20 years now. I spend 1 week with each herb, a minimum of a week with each herb that's in the formulation that I'm creating. I sat in meditation with the herb, and I offered a little to the fire to awaken communication, and offered water to the plant spirit. By burning the herb, it helped me determine if I had any airborne allergens that would affect my breathing or any other sinus issues. This actually is really important if you plan on working with herbs for ritual incenses. Over the course of the week, I also did a small stovetop oil infusion with each individual botanical, as well as teas. Now, the oil infusion would help determine if I had any topical reaction. So can I use this herb in an anointing oil or in a salve? The teas, that's pretty self-explanatory. It turns out that I was allergic to chamomile, and I get a reaction to burning lavender. Both of these ingredients tend to dominate a lot of what's offered in apothecaries, on witchy shops, and healing shops. Thankfully, I do like to make my own creations, so I can customize it with other sleepy type herbs without having to have any adverse reactions. The third tip is to take your training off magical correspondence books. So now we're starting to look at the magical aspects of the plants. I recommend learning the magic within the properties of the plant itself. One of the most amazing ways that I develop my relationship with plants, and the best ways that can assist me in healing and magical workings, is by researching them based on their natural properties. How do they grow? What conditions are favorable to them? And what are their actions? Because I realized that all of this adds to their magic. When looking at their actions, for example, you learn that certain roots are great for purifying the blood. Those became integral parts of my rituals for ancestral shadow work, cutting ties, and blood rituals for protection. Another example is marshmallow root. Marshmallow root is a demulcent, that's one of its actions, and this means that it coats and repairs both your esophagus and your stomach lining. However, this can create a contraindicator in that it can slow or prevent the absorption of other herbal or allopathic medicines for a period of time. As I read this, I had roots and leaves simmering on my altar, and I felt it expand out and embrace me in this warm, cozy, comforting barrier of protection. Who knew that the beautiful marshmallow root would be an ideal plant to work with for barrier and protection magic? Generally, all of the ways that I work with my herbs magically are based on the actions. Now, not always. I do have magical correspondence books, but what I normally do is find my own connection and then see what's missing. If your connection with the plant yields additional magical properties that are not found in your magical correspondence books, that doesn't mean it's wrong. The only thing that you have to take to the letter is the actions and contraindicators of the medicinal aspects of the plant. The magical connection and what you take from that, that is your connection with the plant spirit, and no one can tell you that it's wrong. Generally, all of the ways that I work with my herbs magically are based on the actions, and I am working on a little book, it may take a while, to help explain or share the magical correspondences based on plant actions. One of the reasons why I strongly advise doing this is because what I've noticed is that, to be fair, all of the blogs, videos, books on magical correspondences for herbs are basically regurgitating the same information. And I think that too many people have become reliant on that, and they're not actually developing relationships with the plant spirits or learning about them, deep diving them, and realizing that there is so much more available in magical energies from them. I do this with animal spirit energies as well, and I'm hoping to reload up one of the videos that I previously had on that. The fourth tip is going to seem simple, but there's a lot more to it, and that is keep an inventory list. This is one that I'm still working on mastering or perfecting. It's a pitta thing, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to learn from my mistakes. Most of my herbs over the past few decades were ordered from reputable resources, and when I place my order, I create an Excel spreadsheet. I list the botanicals, I list the company that I ordered from, and then once I receive it, I look at a cost analysis. Now, granted, I am a bookkeeper type of person by nature, it's what my day jobs are, but it's really easy to do. All you need to do is incorporate in the shipping, if there's customs, and if there's an exchange rate, to find out what your actual cost is for each of the herbs. And then, based on the quantity that you have, divide it out to find by grams or ounces. This comes in really handy if you do plan on working with it in a business sense, but even from a cost analysis sense, is it cheaper for me to make it myself, or is it cheaper for me to purchase one that's already created? So that's one of the reasons why I did that. What I didn't do and wish I did, so here's some more tips with inventory, is list when you place the order and the date that you received the shipment. One of the reasons this comes in really handy is if you start to run low on an item, how long is it going to take for you to get replacement? So this way you're never out of inventory or out of stock. Tied into this, I also recommend keeping a separate manual list in the apothecary with your items, and you'll start to see trends. Which ones are you using more frequently? Which ones you don't need to order as much? And it'll also then help you see, crap, I only have a half a bottle left. I know this is going to take a month for me to get, and I use more than a half a bottle in a month. I should have already ordered. So this is where I'm hoping you can kind of see where I'm going with inventory and why there's a lot more to it than simply keeping a list. The final tip is kind of something I've touched on throughout, and this is based on my own spiritual practice. I am a witch. I don't do witchcraft. I live the life of a witch. It is my calling, it is my spiritual practice, it is who and what I am. For this reason, I see the world as an animist, and I believe that plants are as much a living spirit with intelligence and a desire to live as animals are. Please do not treat them as tools. Treat them with respect. Learning about them, understanding how they germinate and grow, even if you're not growing them yourself, will inform the energies and magics that they hold. You do not have to grow plants to connect with the spirit of plants, and I will talk more about that later. I hope that you have enjoyed these quick tips and tricks and a little kind of tour of my apothecary in the process. For now, and as always, I encourage you to embrace the dark, to find the light, and live in balance. I remain always your wayward witch. Much love, blessed be.